In this episode, I want to talk about stress eating or emotional eating and why it is not simply about hunger or lack of self control. Stress eating is actually a coping mechanism, it is a way a nervous system regulates itself. When we experience stress, whether it's work pressure, relationship strain, uncertainty, loneliness, or even internal self criticism, the brain activates the stress response. The amygdala, which is part of our brain, detects threat. The hypothalamus, another part of our brain, activates the HPA axis. Cortisol rises, heart rate increases, blood sugar shifts. The body moves into a heightened state of arousal, and the brain does not like staying in that state. It seeks relief. Highly palatable food, especially foods rich in sugar and fat, provide rapid neurochemical relief. When you eat these foods, dopamine rises in the mesolimbic reward pathway. Dopamine drives anticipation and motivation. The I need this signal. At the same time, the endogenous opioid system activates, creating pleasure and temporarily dampening the emotional distress. Cortisol, which increases during stress, also increases appetite and preference for calorie-dense foods. So the sequence becomes very predictable. Stress occurs, cortisol rises, cravings increase, pleasure and temporary calm sets in. This is when the nervous system downshifts. Relief is experienced and it forms a habit loop. And here's the key point. The brain reinforces these behaviors that reduce distress. If something works, even temporarily, it becomes wired in. Over time, the stress paired with food becomes a conditioned response. Eventually, you may not even notice the emotional trigger. You may just feel the urge to eat. The cue becomes emotional rather than physiological. You're no longer responding to hunger signals, but you're responding to internal discomfort. This is why stress eating feels automatic. It is not a daily decision or willpower. It is a learned regulatory loop, and it becomes even more relevant in midlife. During perimenopause and menopause, estrogen fluctuations influence dopamine signaling. Sleep disruption alters ghrelin and leptin, hormones that regulate hunger and satiety. Cortisol sensitivity increases. Insulin resistance begins to develop. So reward-driven eating can actually have the same time metabolic flexibility is decreasing. The weight gain seems very confusing and unfair. There is also a psychological layer to it. Food is accessible, it's socially acceptable, it requires no vulnerability. It provides sensory soothing and distraction. It can temporarily numb difficult emotions. In that sense, emotional eating is not irrational. It is an adaptive way to cope in the short term. The problem is that it does not resolve the underlying stressor. Over time, it may lead to guilt, blood sugar instability, weight gain, and frustration, which then creates more stress, and the loop continues. The goal is not to shame yourself or feel guilt over stress eating. Shame and guilt activate the same stress circuitry that drives this behavior. Instead, the goal is awareness. When the urge to eat arises, a useful question becomes, how am I actually feeling right now? Am I overwhelmed? Am I lonely? Am I exhausted? Am I anxious? Am I seeking comfort, distraction? And curiously engage your prefrontal cortex and conscious regulation, and that creates a space for choice. From a clinical perspective, addressing stress eating requires a layered strategy. Stabilizing blood glucose reduces reward volatility. Adequate protein and fiber enhances satiety signaling. Protecting sleep normalizes appetite hormones. Strength training improves insulin sensitivity. Stress reduction practices lower baseline cortisol. Environmental design reduces cue-triggered eating, and for some individuals, therapy is essential to address unresolved emotional drivers. You cannot out-discipline stress-driven neurochemistry, but you can understand it. And when you understand it, you can intervene intelligently rather than reactively. Stress eating is not proof that you're broken. It is a proof that your brain found a fast way to regulate distress. The work now is to build slower, more sustainable ways to calm the nervous system without creating downstream harm. And that shift begins with compassion, understanding, and not criticism. Shame and guilt, addressing that with the therapist or with your physician helps as well. And there are ways to work on it. Cognitive behavioral therapy is very helpful. There is help available for addressing emotional eating and stress eating. Please talk to your physician today. Thank you.